Hi, I'm Kelly Rowlett-Presgrave. I'm president and CEO of Work With Your Hands, and we are so proud to be a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast. You can reach us at workwithyourhands.com. Kelly at workwithyourhands.com is my email.
At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines, regardless of gender, and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. Today we are the Women in HVACR conference in
Dallas, Texas.
Every time I pause, we've had so much travel. And so every time I take a breath, I'm like, where are we actually? So today we are with Ashley Lynds. Sorry, I always mess that up because super cool. So you're a returning guest and I want to go back over your story because you have a great story of personal branding and what that can do for your industry. So if you're not familiar with her, she is on Instagram, HVAC Ash.
Yep.
Right?
You got it.
Perfect. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So here's a little background. I was in the industry for several years and then, that lovely thing, COVID hit and I was in sales and you can't really go see people when everything's shut down. So I started an Instagram in order to reach my customers that way. And I kind of did it in secret because they didn't really want me to do it. So I started putting myself out there and was thinking like, if it doesn't do well, I will just not tell anyone. And if it does great, then I can talk about it. And it did great. And obviously I was shocked that many people were interested in what I had to say in the HVAC space. And yeah, it just kind of became a thing. And HVAC Ash is now my brand. It's actually how I got leveraged into this position. So, once I was kind of looking for a different opportunity, I was looking for something different and they had seen some of my work and we were at a trade show and they approached me and were like, hey, really like what you're doing. Definitely has value. And I was like, cool, I'm looking.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like the perfect storm of them kind of needing someone and me wanting to make a change and look for some different opportunities.
So in my opinion, like you were like one of the OG HVAC influencers. Like everyone's kind of doing some influencing now, right? Then that COVID timeframe, like you said, what could you do? And you're selling to contractors, not to like we were going to customers' houses still. But you were selling to contractors and then could you go to the contractor? How are they feeling about it? And those types of things. And I love that you kind of just like pushed against the barrier there and was like, I'm not going to tell them and let's just see what happens. And then it blew up and became a whole thing. And I remember the first time I met you at AHR a couple years ago. And I was like so impressed at that point too. It's just like she's created this entire brand inside the industry all on her own on social media. And that's the really great thing about this is, and about the podcast, I think is there's so many different ways to be in our space. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be in the space as working in a residential business or working as a vendor for marketing, because that's a lot of the things we see, right? But there's so many this event is a really good one for that too, because there's so many people here that we don't see on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that you hype me up. I feel like I'm not that cool, but I will take it. I think you kind of always forget, the steps that you took to get where you are. Mm-hmm. And I will say, yes, there weren't a lot of women women doing HVAC social. And I think I took it a little step further because I'm not a tech, right? So a lot of the influencers are actual techs. They're in the field. Whereas I was a manufacturer at that point as well too. And I'm still a manufacturer, but the manufacturing space is still stuck in 1980s, right? They're still really slow to adopt anything social or digital. And we've made some improvements. We're getting there, but there really wasn't anyone else out there doing that at that point, which I mean, in hindsight is kind of cool to think back on.
To be the trailblazer for sure.
It really is, because running a business when the pandemic first happened, we were all scrambling. Like, what's going to be acceptable in our market? What are people going to be okay with? What are customers going to be okay with? You know, your customers are people like Cassie and I were running HVAC plumbing companies. So that's actually,
you had to be really adaptive, and you had to be
really adaptable to
and quick moving.
Quickly.
Yes. Quick. That's the thing. It's like the quick moving you had to. And like, I can foresee just thinking about my previous corporate life, right? Having to go through the chain of command to get permission to do something. And you're just like,
do it.
Screw this. We're just going to do it and then see what happens. And that affected dramatically her sales, her commission, her company. Yeah. But she kind of broke that barrier of like, hey, and I think we've seen growth in our space and marketing in all areas. Like you're saying, manufacturing. I think historically, social media has only been around for so long though, but like most manufacturers were probably like, who are we to be on social media? Why? Yep. You know, only go into this like niche audience or the contractor, and are you going to reach them? And you can with the right people doing and the demographics and all the things that I don't do.
Yeah, I think it's wild, right? You don't think about this industry has been a lot of older males, right? A lot of those guys are going to be retiring in the next 10 years or so. And all of the new people coming in are, you know, let's call it 20 to 35. How do those people get their information? They get it from social. They get it online. And while I don't sell to contractors, they are my end market, right? So if I can get in front of them in any way, shape, or form, that's beneficial to our business.
Absolutely.
And that's where they are. And I mean, to this day, I still am like, whoa, this many people want to like talk to me and are following me. It's still very cool. Yeah. I mean, that's where they're getting that info. That's where they want to learn. There's now like tons of learning platforms that are available to them that are solely mobile. It's such a cool shift in the industry. So I think the next
and you have to
generational shift.
Yes.
It is a generational shift.
Generational shift.
And we have, you know, like in our business specifically the other day, we were talking about an indoor air quality product, and one of the technicians sent a message. We use Microsoft Teams a lot, and he sent a message of, can I get some pointers on this specific product? And my response was a TikTok video of a technician explaining it. And he was like, that was super helpful. Thank you so much. I didn't go to Google. I went to TikTok, you know, and because I knew, first of all, the person asking his age, what he's looking for, the help he was looking for, I found the video that was a technician explaining it that could relate to him or someone that had experience with it. But I didn't go to Google and find an article, and, you know,
he wouldn't have read it.
He wouldn't have read it.
It's boring.
You're right.
It's not engaging. You want to see a video, right?
And a short one.
Yeah.
Like, tell me as much as you can,
It's
but like
instant
under
gratification generation. Truly, you know, love it or hate it, that's the direction that it's going.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the cool story of you. I love it. But now you have shifted into you're still just as cool. Sorry, let me just, but you've slid into a new role, into a new space. And what are you doing now?
So now I'm doing like the sexiest thing ever. I work for a chemical manufacturer.
Awesome. Love it.
Obviously, chemicals are not super exciting. So we're trying to kind of change the name of the game. We focus, well, let me start with, I work for Refrigeration Technologies, also known as Viper. We are the OG with safe chemical manufacturing, which is not the norm. And you guys may or may not know, but a lot of the chemicals in this space are terrible for you and terrible for the environment. And they will literally melt your tennis shoes if you get it on them. So now I'm working on kind of getting the safety side of things out there and making it fun and having it be easy to access, again, from the social media side, you know, just data around or information around the chemicals and what you should be using, even if it's not ours, what you should be using, what you should be looking for, how to use them properly so you're not burning your skin, you're not ruining a coil, you're not killing someone's plants, and making those products easily accessible.
That's awesome. So, and I think that's definitely like the way the world's trying to go. You know, I think that can get super touchy for some people about certain products or, you know, natural gas and electric, right? That's not this. For me, it's like, what can we do to keep our technicians safer, but also our homeowners? And then the plant still is a huge thing to me because one of our guys one time was talking about this and I was like, oh my God, should we be what? You know, because I'm thinking about my front flower shower bed, and what could potentially happen to that by someone not being
the wrong
smart.
chemicals getting into the ground.
The groundwater. Yeah.
Yes. So interesting. So what is like is it a line of products?
So we have basically kind of 4 product lines. We have our coil cleaners, we have our leak detection, we have our brazing and soldering products, and then we have our leak sealants. And every single product in that line, outside of 2, are all going to be a non-corrosive, non-toxic, eco-friendly product. They're also food safe. So we really try to direct people like, you don't need that product to get a clean coil or to do leak detection. There's a misconception, I think, in the industry that you need a shiny, bright coil is a coil that's actually been stripped. So you've stripped a layer of metal off of your coil now, which then makes it weaker. And then you're going to talk about holes and pinpoint holes and leaks. So it actually causes more of a problem when you're using the corrosive chemical to get the shiny coil because it looks nice.
So
who inspects their coil?
Right, not
like on a regular,
but they should be taking pictures,
Yeah,
right?
pictures.
A technician.
And sometimes they show them to the homeowners, like, oh, look how shiny, like, look at this.
And the shiny, that's the thing. We've had people ask because maybe a previous technician has told them, look, the shine or whatever. It's funny you're telling this, and the people listening can't see Oscar in the gallery over here is shaking his head the whole time, like, yep. Like, so technician wise, as a technician, Oscar in the industry for 30 years is agreeing with everything she's saying of that's exactly what those other products are doing. So, okay, me, because I am a 4-year apprentice, but not actually ever worked in the field. So I immediately think from my buyer perspective, and a lot of our listeners are going to be in a buyer perspective. What if I was potentially going to, carry maybe the coil I think, we purchase maybe coil cleaners that are, you don't rinse off, no rinse cleaners, right? Same thing, same no?
Yeah, I'm going to say like products are similar and they'll be called similar things, but you have to really look at the label to determine whether or not it's a safe product. There's a couple of other companies out there in the market that I would say have some deceptive marketing. There are products that say they're a no rinse, but if you actually read the back, it will tell you that it's corrosive and you need to rinse it. So we do have a true self-rinsing product, which is our aerosol, which is pretty common for aerosols. But, there's certain things that you need to look out for, like in aerosols. Is it a no rinse? Is it a true no rinse? Because if you're spraying that on an evap, because that's typically where those are used, you're spraying this no rinse product on an evap, but it's actually corrosive. You're leaving that product on the coil. You're not rinsing it. So it's just sitting there eating away at the coil. And then a lot of the aerosols also have, it's like a respiratory hazard sign on the back, which basically says, if I breathe this in, it's going to cause damage to my respiratory system. So not only is your tech now in that small space breathing in that chemical, but now you're sending that chemical home. Your homeowner or your business owner or whoever may be in there is now also breathing in that chemical. So there is a lot of deceptive marketing. So I always encourage everybody, just make sure you're reading the actual back of the can, looking for the signs on the back, because that will really tell you how you should use the chemical.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Kee Hart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Kee Hart Marketing at keehartmarketing.com.
Okay, so here's my next question. I can be influenced, respectfully, to do things, to try things, but I get squirrel influenced to where I'm like, okay, I want to go try this, right? And I want to take this to the technicians, and then I will go look at the lineup, and then I'll be like, I don't know, right? So what are your top 3 SKUs?
That's a great question. And I'll also start off with saying, we don't do here's 25,000 different chemicals. We keep it very straightforward. We have one condenser cleaner, one evap cleaner, and then an aerosol product. Our biggest movers are going to be our aerosol, just because it's easy. They don't have to rinse it. It is completely safe. but it's really powerful. And then I would say the next one is probably our Nylog, which is a leak sealant. It is basically used to keep gaskets moist. It can sit on the face of flares. It's a very polarizing product. People love it or they hate it, but great product as well. And then probably our pan and drain. So that is, instead of using your pan tabs, it's a spray gel. You basically coat the pan with the pan and drain spray. It will clean it. It will deodorize it, but it's also got enzymes in it. So it'll actually digest all of the bacteria and the mold, and the slime that, you know, especially in your humid areas, kind of builds up and gets nasty. So it'll digest all of that product. And then once it hits the pan, it actually leaves down a layer of silicone. So it makes it hard for everything future to grow. So those are probably, like, I would say, like, our top three.
Intrigued.
We also have a really badass, sorry if I can't cuss, but heat shield that is amazing. And if you guys haven't seen that, that's like pretty cool to check out.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
So when you're soldering or brazing, most people aren't great at brazing. There's some good ones out there, but most people kind of have like a little excess flame, or, you know, they're in a tight cabinet and they want to make for sure that they're not leaving flame marks on a wall or on the unit or melting some paint. So it's actually a heat shield that's double-sided. It's made out of a carbon material and it can be used wet or dry. It'll take up to 2,500 degrees. So when you're doing high temp, say get it wet, it just blows everything else out of the market. Like it's so good. Most of the other heat shields, like you put flame to it once and it kind of burns a little hole. This will take a beating and it's relatively inexpensive too. So
cool. Okay. So that's all kinds of information. I love it though,
information dump.
Yes, it is. And it's so important. Like I love to watch women talk the space, like know what you're talking about, explain it. And yes, and you have to know what you're selling, but you know your stuff and that's good stuff. And so if we wanted to buy or someone else did, you're selling to the distributors?
Correct. Yes.
And then the distributors are selling to us. So where are you guys?
So I don't know if I should name.
Okay.
I'm not sure. So like our two biggest customers are going to be Johnstone and United because they're national.
Okay.
But we have mom and pop shops all across the US. I mean, we're in 29 countries. So we're not a small operation by any means. And I would also encourage, if anybody is interested in trying the products and they're listening to this, if you want to send me a message on my Instagram, so HVAC_Ash, I will be happy to get some products and some samples out to you. Perfect. Get them in your hands and use them. Because I feel like that's the test, right? That's the ultimate test to whether or not it works for you.
100%. Like I said, I was sitting here watching Oscar's ears like kind of perk up with everything that you explained. And so I can already tell you that quality needs a box to try.
We can definitely send you a
on
pack.
all of the things. I think the common theme of a lot of our conversations lately has been adapt and grow and be ahead. You know, we've talked about that a lot about in the business, like our personal business, pivoting. And we're hard to catch because we're pivoting faster than you can try.
Yep.
Right. And I think that this is just another one of those things. Like pivoting means not just our marketing, right? Everything. And paying attention. And, you know, like you said, you're not wrong that not everyone can braze. You know, I see brazing things. And listen, I'm saying that as a person who cannot braze. Okay. But I will look at pictures from time to time and I'll walk in Oscar's office and I'm like, Oscar,
what is this?
Who did
what
that?
is this? And he's like, dear God, you know, and he still to this day facilitates the brazing class because Oscar can braze and he can braze good. But that is an old, respectfully, babe, you're not old.
Not
but
that
that is a veteran skill.
Absolutely.
It's a veteran skill that not all the veterans taught to the new generation, but need to go back and teach because we've got the pro press and all those things, right? But we're still brazing. Yeah. And there's still a lot of brazing left. And we're not doing justice to this new generation by not teaching them correctly.
And that true skilled trade.
That's why we're a
to
skilled
be passed
trade.
Down.
Yes. That is why we're a skilled trade.
And there was a conversation we were having, I think it was with Logan, about how not all the veteran guys can teach or are willing to teach.
Teaching.
Or should be teaching.
Or should be teaching.
Yes, there's definitely all of that. But, you know, if you, as our listeners, if you know someone in your life that is a veteran of our trade that's really great at something, encourage them to keep training. You know, we have an install manager at our company who he is retiring soon and he was not loved originally, right? Like, I'm not saying that he knows exactly what he would be like. Yeah, you're right. Because he was really hard on those guys, right? He was really pushing them to be better, but he was so passionate about teaching the trade and understanding you understand and love my trade that I learned and I did for all this time. And now he's going to be retiring in December and those guys love him, you know, and they have so much respect for him. And I was just talking to one of our guys a couple days ago and was like, what are you going to do when he retires? And he's like, oh, we're probably all going to lunch all the time. Like they're going to miss him, but they know what he taught them. And even on those days that there was times that I used to say, are we good? Like, is he going to run off at the beginning? Is he going to run off our guys at first? Right. Cause it's touchy, but he absolutely didn't. He taught them and they were thankful for that.
The veteran guys came into it gruff and rough and head on like they were taught. And that, like we were talking about, the younger generation wants the TikTok videos and the social media. And that's the new generation that's coming up, and trying to meld those two personalities and figure out what's going to work for being able to transfer that knowledge in a way that the next generation can truly understand, accept, and respect.
Yeah. And you have to be able to teach these people coming into the space how to fix things, how to clean things. Like, we're not a replacement only. That is has been such a hype for so many people. There wouldn't be chemicals being made and sold if we weren't fixing things, right? Or in cleaning and maintaining. We're not that's such a bad vibe that has been tagged to us on certain companies that they're a replacement only company or they're pushing this too much. Like, let's teach what this means. Let's teach them how to clean properly and safely. And I immediately, when you started talking about safe chemicals, I was like thinking about all those pictures that I've seen where someone's hands like almost melted off.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
real.
Scary.
That's real.
That's scary.
It's not a scare tactic. It will actually do that.
Well, it's corrosive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meant to clean.
Exactly.
So if it's meant to do that, are we been intentionally not maintaining equipment well for a replacement?
I would say yes.
No one wants to hear that. Yeah.
I would say yes, absolutely. I mean, you're causing more damage by using that product than if you were just to not clean it or just use water.
We are huge, just water.
Yeah.
And we've not been, at one time I tried to get our guys these little things and they were like, no, our guys and gals, Oscar, he's been a big fan of that as well, but we want to be able to use something like this, but safely. And I immediately think too, like you said, imagine I would lose my freaking mind if somebody used something super corrosive that affected my flower garden, and our condensers are not far from there. And I think I can see the dollars that are in that flower bed and think about this. And so I always try to put that into perspective of what if I was the homeowner, because I am, right? I'm that homeowner. If they go to our house to clean it, is it going to be safe for them? My husband has been in this trade for 30 years and he's like, do you know how much insulation that I've breathed in? Asbestos that I've been around and those types of things that I worry what he has been exposed to that might affect him later in life, but we can control a lot of things.
Yeah. These poor guys, I feel like have been exposed to so many things for so long. And the industry is definitely coming around. There's definitely more of a push towards safety. The whole just use water. That's, I think, been one initiative because everyone's scared. A lot of the manufacturers, they know that these products are causing damage. And then it's a warranty. Oh, my coil's damaged. There's, it's more warranty issues for them. So just use water. It's fine. But you're not really cleaning the coil with water. When you go take a shower, do you just use water?
Right.
No. So there's still going to be debris. And you still need to perform that maintenance, make sure that the equipment is still performing the way it's supposed to. You just have to find the products that are not corrosive, that are safe to breathe. It's not a respiratory hazard.
Right.
So you just be cognizant of what you're choosing. And the truth is that most people either don't know or they don't care or don't have time.
Right.
Most people don't walk into the wholesaler and be like, let me read the label on this.
I know one person. I have to introduce you at this conference to Rachel. We just interviewed her. Your episode will go not long after hers, so everyone will know who I'm talking about. But she is really passionate about forever chemicals and chemicals that are coming with the new refrigerants and those types of things. So if you have not met her, you have got to meet. I want to make sure you meet her tonight. But all right, well, we will start wrapping up. I want a couple things. So first of all, send quality of care package. Yes. We want it. We're going to try it. Second, it's Instagram HVAC_Ash.
You got it.
And then she said it, so I'm going to repeat it. Reach out to her. Tell her that you heard her on Power Women of the Trades podcast, and she's going to send you some samples to try.
Yeah, please do. Would love that.
Cool. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for coming on and educating us on what you guys do.
My pleasure.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review at Apple and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.